All right. Hey, welcome everyone. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I am excited as always to come before you and to bring always, I strive to always bring a great show to you, the viewer. Let me just start by saying I'm Gloria Bailey Ray. I'm your host, and it is not only an honor, a pleasure, but I just always feel incredibly blessed to be able to do something that I love and that I enjoy. Greetings. Thank you guys for being here. The show, the Gloria Bailey Ray Show, is about providing you, the viewer, with relevant, fact based, mainstream information to help you be informed and to make informed decisions. Our show is streaming live right now on Facebook, YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. Our show is an interactive show. And what does that mean? That means that if you have questions or comments, you can actually place them in the comment section. We'll do our very best to respond to them. I always like to give a quick shout out to my viewers, but also to my sponsors. I want to thank you guys all around the world. As you may have figured out, we are worldwide. And so I thank you guys so much for being here. It is always my pleasure. If you haven't gotten a copy of my latest book, you didn't get the memo, Navigating Corporate America, now would be a good time for you to head over to the GloriaBaileyRay.com website, purchase your book, and get informed. Also, if you just kind of want to follow up with what it is that I am doing, you most definitely will want to sign up and follow me. Go to my website and you can figure out, you'll get a quarterly newsletter about all those different things that I'm doing. For those of you that are signed up for the self confidence workshop that is taking place this coming Saturday, I am excited to get before you and for us to work on building our confidence. All right. So, I again want to thank you guys for being here. And the thing that I wanted to talk with you about today is domestic violence. You guys may know that October is deemed Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And domestic violence is this pervasive and it's a very, very troubling issue that affects individuals and families worldwide. So it doesn't matter where you are, who you are, or how much money you have. Domestic violence, you guys, is real. And so recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, this is an opportunity for us, and I should say, actually, a crucial opportunity to be able to shed light on this issue. Talk about how it even got started, the impact that it has on victims and our society overall. And so I like to talk to you from my perspective about the domestic violence issue and maybe talk about some reasons why people stay in these situations. They stay with their abusers. How can you stop this abuse? And then maybe to delve into some resources that are available for our survivors. But the main thing, I just want to pose this question to you. Some of you, probably many of you, or most of you, you know at least a person, if not more, that is in or that has been in or who's trying to get out of a domestic violence situation. And it is really and truly my hope that by shedding some light on this critical issue today, that I hope that we'll be able to contribute to the ongoing effort to eradicate violence, domestic violence, and to also create safer communities, right? So, when we think and we talk about domestic violence, and by the way, domestic violence is also known as intimate partner violence. And basically what it is, it seems to be this pattern of behavior that's used by a person to maintain power, control over another person in a close relationship. Domestic violence, it encompasses so much. We talk about the physical, the emotional, psychological, financial, and just sexual abuse. And as I started out by saying, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And to me, you guys, every single day should be domestic violence awareness. When you see it happening, when you suspect it's happening, when you are concerned about what's happening. The thing is this is about you educating yourself, you elevating what you know or to learn, because it's really interesting. I've met people who talk about somebody. I don't even know why she stays in that relationship. She knows he's this way. But you have to understand, there's more to it than a person is just staying in because they like having a black eye every month or broken ribs or just there's a myriad of other things that are happening. And so this is about being able to raise and lift awareness, to educate the public, educate yourself, educate other people about domestic violence and the effort or I should say efforts that you can do to promote or to prevent or even help that person that you may know of to respond to or understand what is it that I need to do. Because you imagine the shame, the guilt, the people are lost. They don't know where to go, what to do, how people are going to perceive them, what are they going to say. So it's more to it than meets the eye. Let me just say that. And so let's just delve into when we talk about domestic violence. Where does this come from? Now, I know we all probably have different thoughts about it. Growing up, and I know there are a lot of people who have an issue with even just whipping their kids because it's something that's deep seated and it goes farther back than that, even into. We think about maybe slavery, but it's beyond that. So, understanding where domestic violence came from, that part is even essential to addressing the issues effectively. And domestic violence itself can stem from various factors, including learned behaviors. You're saying learned behaviors, but think about this: abusers often learn their violent behavior from their upbringing or being exposed, to violence in the family. So it starts there. So a lot of times, parents, you may not be aware your child is watching everything that you do, and everything that you do impacts and it does affect them. Also, another thing, where does domestic violence stem from? Power and control. Think about that. Domestic power is basically fundamentally about power and control. Your abuser, they can use violence as a means to exert, I can't even speak, exert authority over their victims. And so, you know what? I just need you for a second to think about, what is it that I'm saying? Where could this, have come from? How could this have even happened? But believe it or not, and we live in a day and era and time of where it's really about people having power, people having control, people being, all about. Oh, it's about me. It's not about you. And so there are a number of things that go into this. Another reason why domestic violence may exist, it also has to do, it could do with to substance abuse, alcohol, drug abuse, that can exacerbate all the abusive tendencies that have just kind of been there, you know, underneath the surface anyway. And that makes the abusers more prone to violence. So those three things we just talked about, learned behaviors. We talked about substance abuse, power and control. That in itself alone, if you looked at the bigger picture, we're like, whoa, okay. Now, on top of that, throw in some mental health issues. Y'all not hearing me today. Listen, we're talking about Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And when we think about mental health issues, there are some abusers that struggle with mental health. They have mental health disorders that contributes to their violent behavior. And you guys see that. It plays itself out even in the news and what we're having. And then there's this piece called societal norms. What is that? Societal norms actually, um, they perpetuate gender inequality, traditional gender roles. That contributes to the prevalence of domestic violence as well. You're supposed to cook my food, clean my house, take care of the kids, wash my clothes, do all of these things. And believe it or not, those societal norms that have been placed upon us, and especially as women, the things that you're talking about, you already have to deal with, and then you're piling on this as well. And so, understanding why your victims they stay with their abusers, man, it's so complex. It is beyond multifaceted. It's so much that is involved in that. And so I'm just saying to you, before you make a snap judgment, let's first of all back it out and see, what is it that's causing this particular violence. Could it be the way the person was raised? And I just think back as a kid, and we knew some of the people whose husbands were very abusive. We knew that those things that they did, it wasn't right, but the women still stayed there. And so, before you throw a stone, you got to make sure that your glass house is is stable. Why? Because anything can happen. And you never know. I'm certain that probably some of these people, when they first got into these relationships, they didn't think about. And for you young women, you're with somebody who slaps and jerks your hair and pulls you around, and you're laughing and you think it's fun. But just remember, little things grow to be big things, and you have to stop something before it even starts. And then it just ends up growing and growing and growing. But look, we're going to take a really quick break. And when I come back, one of the things we're going to talk about, what are some reasons that, people stay in an abusive relationship. And I think some of you are going to have some aha moments and thoughts about that. So you're tuned in to the Gloria Bailey Ray Show. I want to thank you guys for being here. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's scary that it can be put into anything. We can't even see it or notice it.
All right. I want to thank you guys for hanging in there. Thank you, Miss Carolyn, for being here. Listen, we're just talking about October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And it's just about the goal here today on the Gloria Bailey Ray Show is to highlight and to bring to the forefront, some issues and things that maybe you've not even thought about. It never even entered into your mind as it relates to someone actually being abused. But to recap, for those of you who are just joining, I went into talking about some of the origins of where domestic violence has come from. It could be a learned behavior. They grew up seeing their fathers beat their mother, or it could be the fact that it's just about power. I like being in control. It's my way. It's my word. It's what I want. It could be that, but it also could be someone who has a substance abuse problem, whether it's alcohol, drugs, doesn't matter. It could just lead to exacerbating those tendencies of being violent in the first place. And then you got to deal with the mental health issues on top of that. And on top of that, you got to deal with what society says. You're already dealing with the inequality as a woman, and having to fit into these traditional roles, it can contribute to domestic violence as well. So before we went to break, one of the things that I said, let's talk about, and let's really look at, why do people stay with their abusers? And I don't know about you, but I know that I've asked that question many times. And having been in a domestic violence relationship, I feel that I was lucky. I got out. But I understand the shame, the fear, the having to explain why you have a black eye, why your retina was almost detached. You understand those things. I understand it, probably more so than people who've not had to go there. But a lot of people stay because of fear. Victims literally fear retaliation. They fear harm to themselves or to their loved ones, or even death. And we know that has happened if they try to leave their abuser. And just, recently, it seems like in the news, when you got somebody who shoots their spouse or partner in the head and then turns themselves over, or you decapitate someone, and that's violence to an extreme. But victims are fearful, and as much as they've been told, we can protect you, we can do all of this, a lot of people stay in that situation because of that. Then here's something else. What about this? Victims stay in an abusive situation because of the financial dependence. Because we all know that when you are already trying to deal with a situation and you've got to ask the offender for money, economic dependence, let me tell you, it can make leaving someone seem it's impossible. And they're controlling the purse strings, right? And they're counting every penny. And I just think back to, if you spend $1 more than would have been allocated to you to get slapped and beat down about it. This is real. And this is why we should all be paying attention. Some of you men, you fathers, you mothers, you have daughters who are in situations like this right now, and they are afraid. And here's the interesting thing that I found about abuses. A lot of times it's not physical. You can't see the bruises. You can't see, the welts or any of those things. So you that's why you got to ask questions. You got to always let your loved ones know that they're safe with you. You have to do that. But again, as I said, when somebody threatens, I'm gonna kill your whole family and take them out, that in itself is crazy. I see online, your former co-worker was killed by her husband. Yeah. I think about a situation at a church, where a church member had finally gotten away, and that husband tracked her down and shot her in the church parking lot. This is real. This is real. And so whether you want to believe it or not, I want anybody that's out there listening to know that there is help. But you've got to save yourself. I have personally met a couple of women who had to leave their kids, leave their abuser in order to survive and get strong before they could come back and deal with it. It's real, right? And the thing is, also abusers, why they stay. Um, what abusers try to do is they also will isolate their victims from their family or friends so they don't have a network, right? Guys, don't close the door to somebody that you hadn't seen or talked to in a long time, because it's for, girl, I ain't heard from you. I mean, you over there, y'all living life, but what you don't know is what's going on inside of the house. So you're looking at, the stuff from an outside. But when you don't know what you don't know, the person dressed up, made up, booted, suited, looking good, and all the while being abused in the relationship that they are in. Again, this is real. And then a lot of times the abusers don't leave. I'm sorry, the victims don't leave their abusers because of just low self-esteem. The victim literally believes that they deserve the abuse that they're getting, or they feel that they're not worthy of a better life. And I'm here to tell you again, if you're listening, that's a lie. Don't you believe that? You do deserve a better life. You do deserve to live life and live life more abundantly. But when you've got very low self-esteem of yourself, and you know how some people will chip away, you fat. Yeah, you may be a few pounds overweight, but they telling you how fat you are, how ugly you are. Well, if you're not telling yourself, I love me, I'm beautiful, I know that God has a plan for me, then of course, because it's like anything. It's like when you tell your children they're fat, they're stupid, they're dumb. What do you think that does? It chips away at the fabric of who they are. So I'm saying to you, a lot of victims suffer from low self-esteem. They don't feel that they have a right to have a better life. And then this one, when you think about this, the cultural or, the society pressures that you feel, really, I don't care whether it's cultural, religious, what society says. A lot of times the victim is discouraged from leaving their abusive relationship. Now, I don't know about you, but let me just tell you, if you're getting your behind beat or you're watching your kids being beat and abused as well as yourself, and whomever you talking to, they telling you, girl, to stay there, girl, you got that nice house and that nice car. I long time ago made a decision, and I'm speaking from experience, to leave pregnant, sleeping on a pillow on the floor. And yet I still rise. So, you have to decide that you've got to do that. But when your religion tells you, oh, you just stay in there and stay married with this person forever and ever, I can't tell you what to do, but I'm just going to say you need to love yourself more than you love anything else. That's right, Miss Carolyn. Perseverance. You have to step out, and this is stepping out on faith. And I see that a lot of times in this particular situation, where it's a cultural or religious reason that you're staying married to your abusive partner, and that partner's doing everything. Cheating, lying, stealing, beating, homongering, all of that. And you're still there. Uh-uh. You got to think more of yourself. You got to want more for yourself. You got to want more for your kids, because your kids are watching that. And guess what? They're going to mirror what they see 9 times out of 10. And so do you want your child to grow up like that? I don't think you do. And so it's about you deciding what you want to do. Yeah, we're talking about Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I'm just tipping the iceberg. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm some expert. That is not the case. I opened the show with saying I wanted to offer from my perspective, my thoughts about domestic violence and the fact why all of us need to be aware. It's real. A lot of times it's happening right up under our nose. And you turn a blind eye to it. And so don't just say, how you doing? And before the person can really tell that, you already said, yeah, girl, I know. Yeah. You listen. We have to learn to listen. Pay attention to the clues. Be aware. That is what it really and truly is all about. And I'm here to tell you, it's not just the person who's getting abused, beat, but it's affecting your children. It's affecting your family, especially if your abuser has pulled you away and alienated. And some of y'all know who I'm talking to. You've been alienated from your family. I mean, what is that? Somebody says they love you, but they don't want you to have anything to do with your family. You have to question that. You have to understand what's behind that. And that's why it is so important that we pay attention. We pay attention, right? And so, look, we're just going to take another really quick break. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. We are talking about October, celebrating Domestic Violence Awareness Month on the Gloria Bailey Ray Show. I'm grateful for you guys being here. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Thank you.
Talk to doctor now and share it. Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it. Gonna get it, gonna slip it, gonna cuff it. Check it, talk to doctor and share it. Gonna get it, gonna slip it, gonna cuff it. Check it, talk to doctor and share it.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. High blood pressure silently affects millions of Americans. Staying on top of your blood pressure is as simple as these 4 easy steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org to learn more.
All right, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Gloria Bailey Ray Show. We have been talking about Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is October. And I wanted to just have this dialogue and conversation from my perspective as it relates to the importance of why we need to ensure that we are paying attention to our girlfriends, to our, our nieces, to our aunts who may be in a domestic violent situation, y'all. And as you can see here on screen, here is the 800 number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline. But when we went to break, one of the things that I talked about was a lot of times how people feel like that they don't have an out. I have no way to get away. And what am I supposed to do? And so, when we talk about can you stop abuse? I would say that if you really think about it, that requires a multifaceted approach to trying to deal with those individuals. And also, it's not just the individuals, it has to do with institutions, it has to do with, the community as a whole. And so how do we deal with this? What are the ways that we can start to deal with it? Well, again, the reason why I'm talking about it is because it comes down to education. It comes down to, the awareness. We've got to have ongoing and more, in my opinion, more public awareness around domestic violence, education on domestic violence. We need to break the silence. We need all those stigmas that are surrounding someone who is in a domestic violence situation. For me, I just really and truly feel that when we do that, what we do is that we have to empower the person that is the victim, literally empower them. Of course, there are also other ways. There's the legal measures. You can get law enforcement involved that will protect the victims, protect their children, and hold their abusers accountable. Now, I know I have mixed feelings around restraining orders, but I still say that they work when all pieces of the system is working. So you've got restraining orders, you got mandatory reporting, you got the prosecution piece. And so it's really and truly important that we have more awareness. We know exactly, what is going on. And all right, I see you guys. We have to stop being afraid to ask for help from professionals. Absolutely. We have to understand that they are there to help us. And here's the thing, you're not by yourself. You may feel like it. You may feel like, oh, you know what, it's me. But see, people can't help you if they don't know that you have an issue. And so that comes down to your support system. You got to have support systems, and you can develop, strong support systems for those of you that are survivors. I don't care whether it's living in shelters, counseling, the hotlines, because I tell you, if you are persistent, and I heard that, Miss Carolyn, perseverance, when you are persistent, you'll get what you need. Right. And then, there are programs that are out there that offer rehabilitation to abusers that will actually end up addressing the root cause of their violent behavior. Now, of course, they've got to be willing to get help. Some will, some won't. But this is about you and you taking care of yourself. So, and I see Ms. Carolyn right. Some people rather stay even with all the awareness programs and a support system. But I still, my pushback on that is a lot of it has to do with how am I going to be viewed in society? What are my church family going to think about me? What's my pastor going to say to me? What are my coworkers going to think? So we're caught up in that chasm of those particular things. And again, some people say, because they say, I can't survive. And it's really interesting. I can truly say God never closes a door without opening another door or a window. And that part is true. Again, I'm telling you, I'm living witness to that. But you got to decide that you want to get up every day. I want to wake up every day. I want to see my kids every day. I want to see them grow up into viable human beings that are doing great work. Absolutely. And so it's somewhat of a slippery slope, because now the abuser know how to come at you. They love you. What am I going to do? I can't live without you. And the minute you come back, they flip back into that mode again. And so you have to decide, I'm done once and for all. I'm not going to do this. I love me more than I love you. Because can't nobody love you like God loves you. Can I just say that? Nobody. The kind of love that God has for you, it is all encompassing. And so, somebody telling you that they love you, and I'm a firm believer of this. If you love me, you wouldn't hit me. You wouldn't beat me. You gaslight me. You wouldn't hurt me. You wouldn't do all the things. And it just, it goes on and on. You're right. Narcissistic abuse is deep seated. Very much so. Yes, ma'am. It most certainly is. And so it's understanding that. But for the victim, you got to decide that this is about you. It really and truly is about you. You've got to get out. You've got to make that step. You've got to be able to move forward. Because if you aren't willing to take the steps, nobody else can do it for you. There comes a point in time where you just got to pack up and you have to go. I know some people say, I can't leave my kids. I can't. Okay. What are you going to do for your kids if you're dead? Then what happens? That becomes a question. So I'm just having this dialogue again from my perspective, and to know, and I just believe that there was always something out there much better for me than what I had and what I was dealing with. And guess what? You just keep getting up every day that you have the ability to open your eyes. And the first words out of your mouth is, thank you, God. It's another day for me to get up and keep climbing. Yeah, you may slip, fall down a little bit, but you get back up. See, it's when you don't get back up that becomes an issue. So when we talk about resources, there are a ton of resources depending on where you guys are at. There are resources for domestic violence survivors, right? And again, I flashed the National Domestic Violence Hotline, that 1-800-799-SAFE-SAFE number, 1-800-799-SAFE-SAFE. It's a 24-hour, 7 days a week hotline that provides support, they give you information and resources for victims. Guys, use it. Use it. Okay. And then again, you got your local shelters and support groups. Many communities around the country, around the world, they actually have these shelters. They have offer counseling services. They have support groups that are specifically for you as a survivor, And of course, there's legal aid. And legal aid organizations, they can help survivors navigate the legal system, obtaining restraining orders, custody arrangements, things like that. And some of you guys get caught up, like I said, when your abuser is playing nice with you, and we don't need to take the kids and have oversight by whether police or drop them off here, drop them off there. Don't be fooled. Because if they're narcissistic, they have in their mind, what, they're going to do just enough to reel you back in and hurt you. Again, speaking from experience, you guys. All right. And so, it's okay. It's not that you want to keep your kids from them or whatever, but when you've got all of these things in place, once your abuser violates that, then you've really got even more of a leg to stand on, right? And so therapy, I can't say enough about therapy. Emmanuel, thank you for being here. Listen, for those of you that think you don't need therapy, you don't need counseling, wrong. There are therapists and counselors that this is what they are trained in. Domestic violence. Not only do they provide you guidance, they provide emotional support. And guess what? They help to get your head on straight and to help you move forward in your life. You got to want it. You have to want it even more so. And so the financial assistance program, I know a lot of people talk a lot about being on welfare and getting aid and, what is it? The free food and food giveaways and all that. What do you care? Here's the thing. God has provided for you to still have a way. You're not hungry. You have a roof over your head. It's not perfect, but that's why you make plans, y'all. That's the thing. And when you look at the financial assistance programs that are out there, they offer financial aid to help survivors become financially independent. That's what we should all be looking at. But again, I'm going to say and challenge each and every one of you here today, pay attention. Pay attention to that girlfriend that always seems to be upbeat and she got it all going on. But what you don't know, or she'll say little things. You'll ask how you may ask, well, how's, John doing, or Bob, or whomever it is. And they, he's okay. Listen, pay attention. Always let your girlfriends know that you are there for them. I mean, really there for them. Not just in name or words only, but that you're really and truly there for them. That is vitally, vitally important. And this is why I wanted to talk about domestic violence. Yeah, I could have had someone on here, have another guest. But again, as I said, I wanted to speak to you from experience and the fact that I may not be where I want to be, but I thank God I'm not where I used to be. And that's kind of how you have to look at it. Okay? So something has been said. All right, I see one of my viewers said a lot of health insurance companies will pay for the assistance. They also have programs that you can assess. Okay, so again, these are the things, y'all. They are there. We have to know. And I just want you to understand that there is more out there for you. God has a plan. You have to decide whether or not you want to be a part of that plan or not. Domestic violence is no joke. I don't care how cute you are, how pretty you are, how whatever. When you toe up from the floor up, from the inside to the out, that's the thing. And yes, I love that. Look, I just have to, what you say, Miss Carolyn? I thank God that I don't look like what I've been through. Amen. Amen. And see, that's the thing. That's the only thing that I am saying to those of you that are tuned in and that are listening. Listen, no matter what, hear me when I tell you that, you may think that I don't know what's happening or why or what. Listen, hear me, you guys. This is real. They've dedicated a month, but as I said from the outset, it may be a month, but in my opinion, I don't care about it being a month. Every day you need to pay attention. Emmanuel, I see you said you helped two of your friends escape a domestic violence situation. So glad they're okay and thriving now. Amen. So you see, you guys, there are people who are tuned in. They understand the need for us to support, to lift up, to be aware of people that we know, people that we say we love, And yet, you walk around and you're not paying attention. There are a lot of people, and that's why some of you who've been with me a long time, you may hear me say, see, when you don't know my story, don't revel in my glory. Don't look at what you see now, because see, I know where I came from. I know what I went through. I know what I had to get out of. Listen, I'm telling you, I never said it was pretty, but I never gave up, because in my mind, I believed that what God had for me, it was for me. Strictly for me. Hear me when I say that. And so today, as we, wind down here on the show, I will really hope and pray that you will take with you the fact that the things I've shared, helping you to have an awareness about what could be going on with one of your friends or some of your friends. And, just because a guy looks at you, listen, I grew up where your brothers, look, you had to deal with them. you gonna hit my sister or beat my sister or abuse my sister, y'all pay attention. That's the thing. That's what I'm really and truly just trying to get across to you today, is that domestic violence is real. There are some people who don't come out of a situation. There are other people who are in a situation that want to be out of it. Just have an awareness. That really and truly is what it is all about, right? And so, I'm just going to ask you to do one more thing for me. We're going to take, a itty bitty, 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 tiny break. And we'll conclude talking about, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So, guys, whatever you do, don't go anywhere. We are going to be right back. Thank you.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
Wanted to add a little levity there to hearing a child talking about, dad jokes. Children are precious. We've been talking about domestic violence today, and whereas it may be a heavy situation for some of you, for those of you who have had interactions with me and you wonder why I embrace you and I share with you, it is because I've been there. I've been there. I know. And believe it or not, it wasn't easy, but I made it. I'm saying to you, you can make it. I'm saying to you, you can get out. And honestly, I feel like right now I'm living my best life. But it's what you want. Thank you, Emmanuel. And yes, but through the grace of God. I love what you said, Barbara. We have to start trusting in ourselves because we may not have or feel comfortable putting our trust in someone else. God is always here for us. Trust in God and yourself. Amen. And that is, what I said. You've got to believe that God has something better for you. He wouldn't bring you to the situation. And a lot of times we find ourselves in a situation that had we stopped and taken a step back and really examine. That's why I say to you parents, quit rushing your kids into these these relationships. They living together and acting like husband and wife because they're still trying to figure out who they are. They don't know who they are going to be. And so, allow a child to be a child. But more importantly, live the life that you want your child to see and to emulate. That's the thing. Again, October, it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And this serves today's show this month, it serves as a vital platform for all of us to address domestic violence. And we need to do it by understanding. I talked about some of the origins of domestic violence, reason why individuals stay with their abusers, and some of the strategies that can be done to stop abuse. I know that as a society, if we try to work together and create a safer, a more inclusive, a more supportive environment for our survivors, this will be critical. We have to promote the awareness. We have to make sure that there's access. And don't worry about if you're giving money, if you're going to get it back. If you give it and you gave it from your heart, you don't ever worry about that because God's going to pay you back and give it back to you tenfold in the first place. But I just want you to be in the fight. Are you in the fight with me against domestic violence? We want to break the cycle, you guys. And I personally want to say to all of you that are tuned in, I want to give you hope. There is hope. Hear me when I tell you, there is hope. You just need to make one step. I tell you, God's going to make two. Don't do it hastily. Don't worry about what it looks like. Don't worry about, am I going to get here? Be anxious for nothing, the word says, but in all things, give thanksgiving. Give thanksgiving. I can just tell you, God is a good God. I speak again from experience. I know it. I don't worry about what other folks say or think of me. They don't know my story. They ain't been where I've been. And so I'm not trying to please them. It's not that at all. It's not about them. But it's about you. It's about you surviving. And by the way, remember, God will remove those people who talking. They didn't need to be in your way in the first place. And so he will remove them from you. And that's the thing. Okay. So I want you guys to know I love you. I appreciate you. I want to thank you guys for being here. I really and truly hope that there's been something that has been said that will inspire you, that will motivate you, that will move you, that you will say, look, I'm all in. And more importantly, I really and truly hope that you will support and pray for those people who are in abusive relationships. Just pray for them. Please, would you do that? I want to also remind all of you guys, listen, to add the Gloria Billy Ray Show to your schedule every Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m. If you miss it, you can go back and check it out on YouTube. But just know that I appreciate you. I hope that this has been motivational, inspirational, and educational. And I always say this, look, if you didn't take anything away from today's show, then it's you didn't get the memo. Pay it forward. Give thanks for everything that you have. And until this time, next week, be safe, be kind, and know that I love you. God bless. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Gloria Billy Ray, your host. Peace and blessings.